welcome to the Expert's Voice. This is one of my favourite jobs as a publisher. I get to speak to authors about what they're passionate about, and I have got two people here today, a happy couple who are passionate about all things autism, because I don't want to say why they've got that, but today we're going to hear a bit about their story and why they are about to publish the third book in their series, Tell It As It Is, My New Home. And I just love that whole title, Tell It As It Is, because when you're authentic and you speak from your heart because you're passionate and you find a purpose in life, no matter what stage you are in your life, then you can only speak with an energy that people have to listen to. So who am I talking about today? I'm talking about Charles and Tina Parker. Hello, Charles and Tina.
Hi.
Thank you for giving me your time today to talk to you about the book, Tell It As It Is, My New Home, but more importantly, about your son, Christopher, and even more importantly, I don't know if there's anything more important than Christopher. Yeah, I think I've got around the wrong way, but about autism, because you have got so much experience that you want to share with the world. So let's start about why you wanted to write Tell It As It Is, My New Home.
I think I wanted to write it because I still thought there was something missing, that we still hadn't completed the journey. The second book took us through a phase where Chris was at a residential home and we had to get him out of there, and we finally got him into the most beautiful bungalow that it's split into two, and he's got half of that as his own flat. And I wanted others to know that no matter what problems you've had in the past, there is a way to solve them. There is a future, and so many don't understand just what supported living is all about. And Tina and I decided that we should, expose this to the world. And Tina said to me, I think you should write this third book about supported living. And I said, no, this time round, we're going to write it. Because in the past, Tina had helped with lots of the brainstorming, but it was my little fingers that twinkled over the keys and actually wrote the book. This time, both of us have been involved, and I truly, truly believe that we have put together something very, very special that will do so much good to so many.
Oh, do you know what? You know straight away. And this really touches my heart because a big part of my teaching career was teaching young people with autism. And when I met you and I heard about this book, I was like, I've got to publish this book. We've got to get this book because it means so much to me as well. So maybe, Tina, tell us about some of the challenges that face young people with autism. Going from living in a very loving and supported home in that environment, but they grow up, they become adults, and they, like all children, they've got to find their own way in the world. What were some of the challenges that you faced as parents and Christopher faced?
Yeah, I mean, it's very unique person to person, because we very much advocate that autism is like your fingerprint. It is unique to the person. So when I speak, I can only speak for Christopher, because some people on the spectrum will be very, very articulate and very able to voice their particular issues or concerns, where Christopher was never able to do that. So we very much knew that we had to become his voice right from very, very little. And the frustrations he had from not being able to speak out often became challenging behaviors for him. So that was a really big part of seeing that the people that he was surrounding himself with in some of these environments very much saw him as a person with challenging behaviors, that they weren't able to manage. And I don't think he felt secure anywhere he was until we decided that supported living could help him, and then we, made that environment work for him. And everyone helped us. We had to have occupational therapies to get the environment right. We understood autism ourselves a little bit better. We undertook more courses to help to understand his sensory needs. So it's not always about you, sort of understanding everything. You have to become an expert in your own child. So you have to sort of take it and step into their world a little bit more, see it from their point of view, and then work from that point. That all of their behaviors are communication, whether it's frustration, whether they're hitting out, or whatever they're doing, they're just trying to communicate to us how they're feeling. And it's for us to get in touch with that, and then trying to solve those and make that environment better for them. And that's what we've tried to do. And I think that's why Christopher is an exceptionally happy boy now. He really is, radiates that love, and that then laughs every day and makes us laugh. And it's such a world away from where we were a year ago, where he was so unhappy. He was breaking windows and destroying his environment, where today he's just loving being, having that independence and choosing what he does in his life and when he does it.
Oh, I mean that's all any of us want, isn't it? To have that freedom to choose. I'll wash the floor now. No, I'll wash the floor in 2 hours. It's having that choice, and that's important. But I think to understand communication's vital, particularly for young people with ASD. And you've already alluded to the fact that if they're non-verbal or limited vocabulary, that it can come out in other ways. So, Charles, how does it feel as a father looking on at your child when things aren't right for them, the environment's not right, and their communication, that it's causing more pain, and you have to watch that. How was that for you at the time?
Extremely painful. I'm the type of person though who could not sit back in any meeting and just accept somebody saying, no, you can't do that. And if we had done that, Christopher would still be stuck in that same residential home today. Both Tina and I have fought tooth and nail. We've taken on the authorities. And I want to say to anyone, and I've tried to get this across on the book, that they too can, get this point across, and they can win the day. Don't be put off. These people aren't any better than you. They are doing a job that, they have to realize that they should be thinking more of the person and less of their pocket. That's my honest opinion, just on that alone. And it's so important. You mentioned choices in and through the book. It's so important to get this. It really is. I feel so passionate about it. The choices that Christopher now has in his life that he has been denied for a number of years. And that to me is so important.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I love, he's quite domesticated, isn't he? What type of chores is he doing now that he's got this newfound freedom, and things that you maybe have thought 2 or 3 years ago he would never do? Tell us about some of the chores that he's able to do in tasks.
Go on, Mum, you can do this one.
He absolutely loves cleaning, which is like, for a 25-year-old man is pretty unheard of. He really loves to be involved. In fact, if he's not involved, it actually causes him to be, a bit bored. He really likes to cook. He loves to clean. He loves to do his laundry. He's very much, he's pegging his washing out on the line, putting out the bins. which is everything that we do in life. You know, we take these things for granted, but Christopher, he's doing them and he's loving doing them. He laughs when he puts out the bins. I mean, it's just a joy to see him so happy that he's involved in his choices and he knows what's going on. He's just really, he loves going shopping. Pushing the shopping trolley is a highlight.
Yeah.
Scanning it, and he's just learning all the time, and the more he learns, the more happy he becomes.
Oh, that's just a wonderful story. And I know when I worked in a special school, a big part of it was the occupational therapists helping them, you know, so it'd be residential, so they could learn how to cook, how to clean, how to look after themselves, how to wash, you know, get the train, all the things across the road, all the things that a lot of people take for granted. But the thing is, you always have to raise the expectations, and you always have to believe they too can do the same as other people. Might take them a bit longer, you might need a bit more patience, but do you know what? You can actually get there. And I've seen this time and time again. So I'm a great believer in that. And a lot of people have what I call the microwave mentality, you know. So tell us a bit about what he likes to cook and who's helped him learn how to cook.
I think we started it off at a very young age. We used to breed and show rabbits, and some Sundays one of us would go to a show with Charlie and our other son, and the other would stay behind with Chris. And whoever was at home would involve him in helping to prepare the roast dinner. And even at a very, very young age, we had him being able to like peel potatoes, peel carrots, and things like that. Not doing anything dangerous, but he would get involved in it. And then, unfortunately, once he went to school, he lost lots of this until he got to his very last, what we would call a senior school, and they started to introduce it again. It's been a yo-yo, really, of experiences for Chris, because again, then when he went in the residential home, carers found it easier to do the, you know, things for him, to cook his food, not to give him the choices, just to put a plate on the table and expect him to eat it. But here we are now with supported living, and this is the real benefit. His carers ask him what he wants for breakfast, what he wants for lunch, for dinner, and he chooses, and then they help him prepare the food. And it is absolutely wonderful, the system that they have in place now. They have to be very careful, mind, and we have to be very careful when we're around his bungalow, because one of the things that Chris has, and he's got this from his dad, so blame me, is OCD. He will not have a thing out of place. And, you know, when he does something, or he sees me put something down, he's behind me and put it where he wants it, you know, and it might only be half an inch that he's moved that object. But yeah, he's come so far with everything, you know, that I just can't say enough about him. And I could sit here during doing this interview with you for hours, you know. It's just amazing.
And what was his favorite dish he likes to cook?
Well, he loves he's come from like not like a lot of people on the spectrum of like very bland food.
Yes, I know.
like from
white food,
extreme, like chicken nuggets, and that was it. Sauce if you're lucky. He's come from that to the extreme that he likes really spicy food. A lot of his carers are, you know, Jamaican or from African continents, and they bring them some of their recipes, like jollof rice is a very popular one. He really likes cooking that, and they want to teach him some of these foods, and they're just delighted that he loves to eat them. So very much that he likes something with a bit of spice on it now. So
wow. I think it's the same as we're all the same. Our taste buds change over time, don't they?
Yeah.
They change, and you know, I remember my son. I had like a diet of 3 dinners when he was young: chicken, sausage, and I can't remember what the other one was now. Yeah, so yeah, they definitely definitely change. So tell us a wee bit more about the supported living. So what type of support does Chris get?
Well, Christopher has 2 carers, 24 hours a day. The authorities tried to get us to accept 1-to-1 at night, but we were very, very much against that, particularly because at any time, anyone with severe autism, you cannot predict what might happen. And had something happened, had he had a bad behavior come across his mind and he attacked one of the carers, what would the other one do? Think about if a carer went down ill, and they have to go off. And that has actually happened. And as a contingency plan, Tina and I slot in then so that he has the continued care that he needs. So it's the carers there, though, that we've got, really, really do work very, very closely with Chris. They are trained properly. They don't just, as we found out, one of his carers at a previous home came out of McDonald's one day and was working as a carer for Chris the next. That doesn't happen with the carers we have now. It's all carefully planned, and he does need the 2-to-1 care, and I think anyone with severe autism, probably is far safer to have that, because what one carer is actually looking after him, the other carer is preparing what they're going to do next.
Yeah.
And now in Next, with an autistic child, as you were a teacher, you probably had that sort of thing, where you're going to do this now, Christopher, and this is what you asked to do next, and it's an ongoing thing, right, through the day, every day of the week.
Yeah, it's a constant thing. So does he use visual cues and things like that, like his timetables
We
and
use a lot of schedules because it's got to be predictable. His day is, picking out his food. We use a menu so that he can write up on a board. So that consistent approach, he knows that the people that are coming through the door, we write their names up. So there's no surprises for them, because change is really, really
Yeah.
distressing for people on the spectrum. So we don't have change. We try to keep things consistent, and if we have an unexpected visitor or something like that, we let Christopher know. So their social stories are a big part of, which I love to do, a social story.
social stories? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, really putting down into words what is going to happen, because for Christopher, he is very slow processing. So he needs to read things over and over again, which is one of his strengths. And he really finds it reassuring to know what's going on. And so you don't have the behaviors when you have predictability.
Yeah, absolutely. It's vital. Like I remember in school, if a teacher was off, they got sick, someone would know to go and prime them and then reassure them and go over the timetable and say, well, this is, and and have all these strategies in place, because it kept them calm. Because as you said, change and uncertainty does not go down well,
even
for
with
sure.
even with us, Brenda, with us being a constant in his life now, he feels a little bit distressed if he doesn't know when we're coming. So we try to check in with Christopher, even if we've got a lot of things on, we'll do a video call, so he knows that we're still about, with having a chat, because he finds that if he sees people, it's really easy for him to connect with them. So again, it's all about, making sure we're just giving them that sense of calm, and he's very happy because he knows exactly what's going to go on in his day, and he chooses it, and
because I know there's a weekly McDonald's visit.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's always on a Wednesday after the swimming that he's doing really, really well. There's so much predictability in his week that doesn't change. But we do try to set those goals, like you know, setting a goal to take him over to the Isle of Wight. So that'll be a ferry trip. So that'll be a trip that we'll do a social story and then help him in that new environment, and then go over and maybe go to the Isle of Wight Zoo. And these are new little goals for him. So we're always, like you said, pushing that boundary of independence and just, you know, life really.
And getting them out and about, because one of the things that's challenging for autistic people is social interaction.
That's right.
So I suppose he's got his carers, he's got yourself. What other ways do you develop that aspect of his
Well,
development?
he's got his own car through Motability.
Oh, he
And
drives. Wow.
oh no. Oh, God.
Alright.
No, no, it's either
That's
dad
why I
or
went,
one
he
of
drives.
it's dad or one of the carers that drive.
All right.
He can say to the carers, drive, and that's how he sort of says it, you know. And they say, where do you want to go? Royal Victoria Park, you know, or somewhere like that. The Coffee Cup, which is in Southsea, and they take him whenever he wants to go out. He's free to do so. This is something, again, that in residential he didn't have, because they never had drivers to take him out. The car was sat in the car park virtually all of the week until we visited and took him out, you know, a couple of times a week. This is so different now, and it makes a big difference to him, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I absolutely. Again, it's that freedom, it's that choice, isn't it? And not being like in a straitjacket if you're in like a residential, you know. You see it even in old people, you know, because they've not got the manpower, they've not got the finances, they get them up, sitting them in a chair, you know. Where's the quality of life in
we
that?
want to push the boundaries for him.
Of course,
Independent skills, saying, you know, you doing the shopping trips, paying for his ice cream.
Well, that's what I was going to say about, you know,
Using
those
his
everyday
card.
skills.
I mean, he loves a shopping trip. He's very much loves going to, you know, all the different, going into Asda, and he loves buying all his stationery because he really likes to write. So, and he especially likes the Sharpie pens, because they give him a lot of deep pressure. So his favorite thing to do is to request that as a shopping trip, and he'll spend a lot of time deliberating and having conversations and then paying for his items. So, and that involves having to say thank you. And we do prompt that because we want him to understand that this is the correct way to socially use.
So what other, does he still get like occupational therapy, sensory support? That's part of his plan.
Yeah, and he's on the speech and language waiting list to try and support him more with his schedule, because a lot of these things they often stop once you finish education, so you have to restart them, and communication has always been part of Christopher's life. You know, he has to have this enormous amount of support and the sensory support as well, because things like deep pressure. But we have become more knowledgeable, so we help a lot, and we have gotten a fantastic occupational therapist who's always on the phone supporting us, and we go around ideas of how we're going to approach different things and help Christopher further, you know.
So it's all about, you know, even as, you know, you progress, and it's a wonderful thing, and the book and the struggles and how you overcome them, and actually it's a great thanks to yourself with having the determination for wanting the best for your son, you know, like all parents. But you know, you've got a bigger struggle ahead, you know, than most parents do. But what's the vision for Christopher moving forward?
The vision in my mind, perhaps we've both got different ideas, but my vision is for Chris now to live in the bungalow he has at the moment for as long as ever he wants to, because Christopher has had problems through his life, having moved through several different schools that couldn't handle him, and then we got him in a school that was brilliant, only to then become an adult, to move him into residential care, and he just regressed so badly. And it has taken this first year in supported living, and thank God we've got great carers to help us with this. But it's taken that year to get him back to where he was before. And I want to see that continue, like I said, for as long as possible, for him to be able to learn new things all of the time. We've got plans, and he's helping us in that way. We're using a guy that Christopher invented, and this character is going to play some big parts in some new books that we're going to do to help Christopher and to help others. With knowing how to do social stories.
Oh
And
yeah, it's very
communicate.
important. Yeah.
To communicate. And we want, everyone to have that opportunity. So yeah, there's something for all of our readers to look forward to in the future, to these new books that are coming out. And we're happy to even talk to people over the phone, to accept emails, because our passion isn't just to help Chris, it is to do something special for autism throughout this whole world.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm there supporting you, and just doing as much, because it is so important. And I have a great nephew, nieces, and grandchildren who are autistic. So it definitely is close to home for me, but it has been a big thing all of my life. And you've got to support people like yourself. So with regard to the book, what is your vision for the book?
I would love, it's very strange this, and you might think, don't be silly, but I had a couple of emails over the years, whilst writing the other books and this one, with people saying, we'd maybe like to look at your book and turn it into a film. Wow, that would really be a high moment. And I want to say this at this moment in time to any other authors, don't be worried about changing. I spoke to you, Brenda, one day, and I was very, very nervous about it. And I'm not normally like that. But thank God I did, and thank God that we now have what I consider an absolutely fabulous publishing company looking after us. And that, I think, is going to determine whether this book is going to be the success we want it to be. We know we've got to put in the hard work, but we're being, if you like, pushed that little bit more to do that bit more. And that's what's making a real world difference. So thank you to you and your team.
Oh, thank you very much. I'd like to think I'm more of a North Star than pushing people.
Absolutely.
I like to think I'm more of a guide. But no. And I think one of the things is, because of my background, I have that understanding, and I have that empathy and compassion, and just the same, like, wanting the best, and you're talking about a film, you think of Rain Man, and and films like that. And nowadays we need to be more inclusive, and people need to see themselves being represented, and so therefore, everything's possible. If you can dream it, we can do it. I think that's a Walt Disney thing. If you can dream it, you can make it a reality.
Absolutely.
You just need to find the right people, and that's where I want to support you in opening doors of opportunity to people I know. Like, we've already been talking about, like, an audiobook, so opening doors of opportunity to people like that, people that you can trust, aren't going to try and scam you. And you've been telling me you've been getting quotes, and some of the quotes are stupid, and yet I come along from an award-winning audiobook company, Monkey Nut Audio. I'll give them a plug. And they work with amazing actors, but yet their prices are realistic and affordable, and it's something that I know you're considering. So it'd be great if we can make the book as much a multi I can't get the word out now. Oh yeah, let's get the two books up together. Multi-dimensional, and I love it. And I love the one on the back. I said that photograph's going on the back cover. You know, the one of them doing these hoovering. I love it. You know, and and it's so important that you surround yourself with genuine, authentic people who support. You're not just an author. This is a life lived, and that makes a book way more valuable, in my opinion, than many other books, because it's authentic. It's, you know, it comes from, I don't say it just doesn't come from heart, it comes from heart and soul. And we're all here to get our voices out and to have them heard. And I will do whatever I can in my power to support that your voices is heard and people are listening to it. So tell us about some of the things that are coming up as you head towards the launch, which is in October. What's the date?
16th.
Oh, 16th,
Yeah,
16th October, which is not, you know, just over 4 weeks away. So tell us what's happening around that.
Well, we have been asked to be the key speakers at the Loddon annual conference, and they believe us, and we've promised that we will, you know, bring something very, very special to the conference. And I believe we can do that because, as you know, many authors can sit down and write a book, but you can't truly write a book with real feeling unless you've lived through it. That's my opinion. And both of us have lived through hell. I remember doing a talk in the very early days called Heaven and Hell. And that's what our life has really been about. But thank God that we spend more time in heaven these days than we do, you know, in hell, if you like.
I love
Things
that.
are coming right for us. Each and every day we see Christopher making maybe a tiny bit of progress, but it's progress. And, you know, it makes us happy, doesn't it? It really does make us happy.
I think we have a philosophy in our life that we don't ever sort of set expectations for Christopher. And some people might think, oh, why don't you set expectations? But we celebrate successes, so that every time that he does something, it's like Christmas Day for us. We absolutely, you know, absolutely celebrate that, because we never had expectations from the start. We had a very bleak picture that many people get with the diagnosis, that, you know, he had no speech, he had global development delay. There was so many things that people were telling us that he would never live, you know, without that support. And to a point that is right, but he has become this big person, you know, with this huge personality, and it's all because of the people he's got around us and us as well. And he's absolutely smashed the expectations of supported living this whole year, when we thought he could possibly do all sorts of things. He's absolutely proved us wrong and said, well, I can absolutely do this. And we are so proud of him.
Oh,
That he is just doing this.
Oh, Tina, that is brilliant. So the book's out 16th of October. Are we doing pre-sales?
Yes.
We are indeed.
So we'll make sure when this goes out that the links and everything are there, and that I think this is a book, it's heart and soul poured into it. It's real life. If you know someone who's on the autistic spectrum, particularly as they're developing, becoming a young adult, moving into, you know, the leaving the education system stage, then this is a book filled with hope, filled with encouragement, and filled with what's possible when you believe. Oh, I'm feeling quite emotional. And that's it. You have to believe. And when you believe, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So I'm behind you all the way in getting this book out to as many people. But it's not a sprint. This is a marathon, and this book will help many people for many years to come, getting the comfort, getting the hope, getting that knowing what's possible. So thank you very much for speaking to me today. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish?
But we'd like to say, oh no, you can say something as well, Charles. But
Yeah.
when we did the first book, we weren't sure what sort of response we would get, but we got one person actually come back to us at one point, and they said, thank you so much for writing that book. I don't feel alone. And that's what I want people to feel. Don't feel alone, because being a parent of an autistic person, or a family member, is very isolating. And you want that virtual hug, those warm words to make you, reassure you. And for Christopher, who was a young man that we didn't think could do supported living because of his behaviours. We didn't think that was possible. And that was our limited mindset. So this, this changed it. And we want this book to help people change their mindset about what is possible, and help the book to see what is possible, that they can change the future for their young person.
I love
just
it.
like you've done for Christopher.
Oh, I love it.
From
Charles?
me, from me, it is. I remember writing one part of the book, and I put our email address in there. Tell it as it is, books@gmail.com. And your team member Olivia came back to me and she said, aren't you, laying yourself wide open to get lots and lots of people, coming back to you and taking you up on this and wanting your help, and I said, I hope so, because that's what we want. We want to be helping as many as possible. And the more we can help, the happier we will be, the bigger our smiles, and I say this in front of a camera, but I've got so much respect as well for this young lady sat next to me, my dear wife, for all of the support that she has given me, whilst I've been writing these books. And that's why I wanted her to be part of this third one, because she deserves that. She does as much as me, and more. And that's why it keeps us going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It keeps us going.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for the words of wisdom. Thank you for finding the courage to write this series of books, and thank you for choosing Book Brilliance Publishing to help you with the Tell It As It Is, My New Home. It's been a pleasure and a privilege, and I know this is just the start of and this relationship will continue year on year on. So everybody, there you are. If you've been touched by Charles and Tina's story, if you know someone with autism, are you living with someone with autism? Do you have autism? There's always hope. There's always love from people around you. There's always possibility. So until the next time, that I'm sure we'll come back and speak more about the author's journey with Charles and Tina. But until the next time, this is Brenda saying, be brilliant. Much love. To the pip.